Hey everyone, I'm meteorologist Mark Collins. Hard to believe, but it's the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. That's right, that late October storm that will go down in the history books for having some of the widest tropical storm force winds ever in a hurricane. In fact, those winds were extended over 1,000 miles from Cape Cod to nearly Bermuda. And it's the scale, the size of the storm, which is making more of the headlines and the lasting memories versus the intensity of the storm. Because since it was so big, it actually had the strength of like Category 3 hurricane storm surge, and that caused all the problems in New Jersey. You can read more about it on the News4JAX website, all about Hurricane Sandy. And this was the path of the storm as it moved northward out of the Caribbean Sea. It powered up, coming through Jamaica and then crossed Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane on October 25th. It did weaken once it moved across the island through the Bahamas, but that's when it started to take on this unusual hybrid type storm structure, and it just got wider and wider, bigger and bigger as it took that hook into New Jersey on October 29th with massive storm surge in that area. And the reason why it got wider was because it was undergoing a process called extratropical transition. And here you can see the surface map from 2012 shows it some cold fronts attached to it. You don't see that in a hurricane, and it wasn't technically a hurricane. So that was the confusion. It had undergone a process where it became a cold core, and it was being surrounded by colder air along the backside. So at that point, since it was not technically a hurricane, the Hurricane Center handed it off to a different government agency to make advisories. There's the confusion where people thought, hey, this wasn't a hurricane any longer. It's a post-tropical, extratropical storm. And so maybe they didn't take it seriously and evacuate the coastline like they should have. Also, it added some confusion for emergency managers on how to handle a storm when there was some mixed messages there. So the lasting legacy is that now that's not the case. The Hurricane Center, even if it undergoes a type of phase change, they will still issue advisories for a mid-latitude type storm, even if it doesn't have tropical characteristics. And it's this continuity in the forecast, which is designed to help keep people safe in those type of situations. So 10 years later, we have a change in how the Hurricane Center issues warnings. And also we have storms that are very strong out there. In fact, when we take a look at what could potentially develop out in the Atlantic, there is a few features that we're watching. The ones off of the East Coast will likely stay to the north, but down here over the Caribbean is a system we'll be tracking as it moves through the very still warm waters here in the Caribbean Sea. There is the potential for something to develop and perhaps get drawn northward as we head into the end of next week. So the hurricane season, it ain't over till November 30th. So that's why we'll continue to watch those hot spots, which tend to focus in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea this time of year. I'm meteorologist Mark Collins. You can always check us out on news4jax.com or watch us on Channel 4, the local station.